Olive oil is one of those things where you assume the label tells the truth. It says extra virgin. It's got a picture of a sun-drenched hillside and some Italian-looking font, and you figure, okay, this is the good stuff. So you grab it, you toss it in the cart, and you go home thinking you made a solid choice. You didn't, or at least there's a real chance you didn't. Back in 2011, researchers at UC Davis tested 69 samples of imported extra virgin olive oil sold at major U.S. grocery stores. 69% of them failed to meet the international standards for extra virgin. Not a small number, not a rounding error. Nearly 7 out of 10 bottles on those shelves were not what the label said they were. And the brands that got called out, you'd recognize every single name. Some of them are on this list today. So what we're doing here is cutting through that noise. We tested, researched, and ranked 7 extra virgin olive oils you can actually find at a regular supermarket for under $12 a bottle, worst to best. And number 1 is going to surprise you. It's not the brand with the biggest marketing budget. It's the one most people walk right past. Before we get into it, if you're someone who likes knowing what you're actually putting in your food and getting real value for your money, hit subscribe. This is exactly the kind of content we put out every week. And drop a comment right now. What brand of olive oil are you currently buying? I'm genuinely curious how many people are using the same one. We'll circle back to that question by the end. Number 7, Amazon's Happy Belly Extra Virgin Olive Oil. This one earns last place, and it's not particularly close. The color alone should give you pause. Pour a little into a dish, and it comes out pale and yellowish. Not the vibrant golden green you'd expect from a properly made extra virgin oil. Fresh, high-quality EVOO has color from the polyphenols and chlorophyll in the olives. When that color is gone, those awesome compounds are usually gone with it. The aroma is almost non-existent. You get a dull, faint smell, nothing grassy, nothing fruity, no hint of fresh olive. And then you taste it. There's a heaviness that just sits on your tongue, a flatness that doesn't go anywhere, and a lingering acrid note at the back of the throat that has nothing in common with the pleasant peppery finish a real extra virgin oil is supposed to have. That peppery burn, by the way, is actually a sign of healthy antioxidants called polyphenols doing their job. The absence of it means those compounds are either degraded or were never there to begin with. The honest use for this oil is somewhere it doesn't matter what it tastes like. Wood conditioning, maybe? Squeaky hinge on a cabinet door? Not your salad dressing, not anything where the flavor's going to end up on your food. Number 6, Wegmans store brand extra virgin olive oil. This one is trickier to rank last because Wegmans as a brand is genuinely good. Their store products usually punch above their price point, and this is a rare miss. It looks promising coming out of the bottle. A reasonably deep color, nothing immediately alarming, but the aroma gives it away first. There's a faint sourness to it that isn't offensive, but it's also not the inviting, clean olive scent you're hoping for. On the palate, it's startlingly neutral. Not mild in a subtle way, neutral in a way that makes you wonder if something's off. No grassy notes, no fruitiness, no real pepper finish. The only moment where it registers as olive oil at all is a faint sharpness right at the end, right before the flavor disappears completely. For roasting vegetables or cooking where you just need a fat to work with, it'll do. But for anything where the olive oil is actually a flavor component, a simple vinaigrette, a drizzle over roasted tomatoes, dipping bread, you're going to want something with a pulse. Stick with us because the gap between these bottom 2 and what's coming next is significant, and number 1 is the bottle sitting on my own counter right now. Before we keep going with the rankings, there's something you need to know that's going to change how you shop for olive oil forever. And it's not complicated, and it's actually just one thing. The olive oil industry has a labeling trick that has been working on American consumers for decades, and it's so simple it's almost embarrassing. When you pick up a bottle at the grocery store, you probably look at the best buy date, see that it's a year or 2 away, and feel good about it. Fresh enough, right? Wrong. That best buy date is calculated from when the oil was bottled, not when the olives were actually harvested. And those 2 dates can be very, very far apart. An oil can sit in a storage tank for a year or more after harvest, get bottled, and then legally carry a best buy date that's another 2 years out from there. Do that math. You could be standing in a grocery store aisle holding a bottle of olive oil whose olives were pressed nearly 3 years ago, and that label gives you zero indication of it. Real extra virgin olive oil is essentially fresh fruit juice. The moment those olives are crushed, the clock starts ticking on flavor, aroma, and the healthy compounds, called polyphenols, that make EVOO worth buying in the first place. Polyphenols are what give good olive oil that slightly bitter, peppery finish at the back of your throat. They're anti-inflammatory, they're linked to heart health, and they degrade steadily over time even when the oil is stored properly. So here's the one thing to look for: the harvest date, not the best buy date. The harvest date tells you when those olives were actually picked and pressed. A quality oil is at its peak within 12 to 18 months of harvest. If a bottle doesn't print a harvest date, that's not a neutral fact. It's a choice the producer made, and usually they made that choice because they don't want you doing the math. With that in your back pocket, let's keep going. Number 5, 365 by Whole Foods Extra Virgin Olive Oil. This one used to be better. That's the honest version of this review. The 365 line was built around the idea that you could get reliable organic pantry staples at a fair price under the Whole Foods umbrella. For a long time, the olive oil held up that reputation reasonably well. Since Amazon acquired Whole Foods, though, a lot of longtime shoppers and a lot of food reviewers have noticed the quality quietly slipping across several products. This oil is one of them. Visually, it's fine. Light golden green, nothing alarming. The aroma has subtle grassy and floral undertones that at least signal you're working with something olive-derived. But then you taste it, and the flavor is just thin. There's no real fruitiness, no vivid finish, and that peppery throat tickle that tells you the polyphenols are actually present barely shows up. It fades out before it even gets started. For everyday cooking, roasting a sheet pan of vegetables, sautéing garlic for a pasta sauce, it's serviceable. It's USDA certified organic. It comes in a dark glass bottle, which does help protect it from light degradation, and at around $11 or $12 for a standard bottle, the price is fair. It just won't make you feel anything when you taste it, and that's a shame for a category where the good stuff genuinely can. Number 4, Bertolli Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Now we're getting into complicated territory, and I want to be straight with you about it. Bertolli has been around since the 1800s. It's one of the most recognized olive oil brands in the world, and for a long time it was the default answer when someone asked what olive oil to buy. But Bertolli was named in a class action lawsuit back in 2014 with allegations that its imported from Italy labeling was misleading. Most of the oil was sourced from olives grown in other countries, then bottled in Italy and shipped here. The lawsuit was settled, the brand kept selling, and today it commands a massive share of the American grocery market. So where does that leave you as a shopper? Somewhere in the middle, honestly. The Bertolli Extra Virgin Olive Oil you'll find in most stores for under $12 has a nice viscosity. That's not my word. That's how tasters at the kitchen described it in their 2026 blind taste test. It's smooth, it has a mild, peppery, spicy finish that adds a little interest, and it functions well for everyday cooking. It's not a revelatory olive oil. It's not something you're going to drizzle over fresh mozzarella and feel moved by. But it's a real step up from the bottom 2 on this list in terms of actual flavor character. Pay attention to the label on this one. The Bertolli Organic line, which runs right around $12 for a 25-ounce bottle, tends to get better marks than the standard version. It's bottled in Italy with olives sourced from Spain, Tunisia, Greece, and Italy. That blend origin is not necessarily a negative. A lot of very good olive oils are blends, but the lack of a harvest date on most Bertolli bottles means you're taking the freshness on faith. And given their history, that's a faith worth thinking twice about. It earns its spot at number 4 because the flavor holds up for what you're paying. Just know what you're getting. Number 3, Filippo Berio Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Let's get the uncomfortable part out of the way first. Filippo Berio was named in a class action lawsuit filed in March 2014. The allegation was that Salov North America, the company that makes Filippo Berio, falsely labeled its oil as imported from Italy when the olives were actually sourced from and pressed in other countries. The lawsuit was settled. Same story as Bertolli, different label. Filippo Berio is owned by a Chinese company called Bright Food through its subsidiary Salov, and it holds roughly 20% of the world's extra virgin olive oil market. That's a staggering number for a single brand. And when you're producing at that volume, corners have a way of getting cut. So why is it sitting at number 3 on this list? Because at the end of the day, the product in the bottle is more than acceptable for the price, and the price is genuinely hard to argue with. The 25.3-ounce bottle runs right around $10.97 at Walmart and most major grocery stores. That's a solid amount of oil for under $11, and the flavor profile earns it. It opens with a mild fruitiness, carries a medium body, and finishes with just enough pepper at the back of the throat to let you know the polyphenols are doing something. It's not bold. It's not going to make your eyes water, but it's honest in a way that the bottom 2 on this list simply aren't. Real shoppers who use it consistently describe it as right in that sweet spot. Enough flavor to notice, not so aggressive it takes over a dish. One longtime user put it this way: just the right amount of peppery without the aftertaste. And for a bottle you're going to go through quickly on weeknight cooking, that matters more than it sounds. One thing to know though, if you can find Filippo Berio in a metal tin rather than a plastic bottle, get that version. Light and air are the 2 biggest enemies of olive oil quality, and a tin block's both better than any plastic container ever will. The flavor difference between a well-stored oil and one that's been sitting in a clear plastic jug under fluorescent grocery store lighting is real, and once you taste it side by side, you won't go back. Do the math on this one versus what you've been paying for the brand names with the bigger advertising budgets. The numbers don't lie. Now, I want to pause here and ask you something. Of the brands we've covered so far, how many of them have you actually had in your kitchen? Drop it in the comments. And if you've noticed a difference in quality between bottles of the same brand bought at different times, I want to hear that too, because that inconsistency is one of the most common complaints across the board with these mass market oils, and it matters. If this kind of straight talk content is useful to you, the stuff that actually helps you spend less and get more out of what you buy, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. We cover this kind of thing every single week. Number 2, Pompeian Robust Extra Virgin Olive Oil. This one is going to need some context because Pompeian's history is messy and you deserve to know it. Pompeian was included in early class action lawsuits around 2010 and 2011 when UC Davis testing flagged several major imported brands for failing to meet extra virgin standards. It also made headlines when its parent company, DeCoupe, Spain's largest olive oil cooperative, was accused of selling blends containing a fraction of actual extra virgin olive oil under the Pompeian name for a different product line. That story broke around 2020 and caused real concern in the industry. It also made headlines when its parent company, DeCoupe, Spain's largest olive oil cooperative, was accused of selling blends containing a fraction of actual extra virgin olive oil under the Pompeian name for a different product line. That story broke around 2020 and caused real concern in the industry. Here's where things stand right now, though. The North American Olive Oil Association, the NAOOA, conducts independent third-party testing of oils sold in the United States on a regular basis. Their most recent 2025 testing found no evidence of adulteration in Pompeian's Robust Extra Virgin line. That doesn't erase the history, but it does mean the current product appears to be what it says it is. And what it is genuinely useful. The 32-ounce bottle runs right around $11 to $12 at Walmart, Target, and most grocery chains. which works out to an exceptional price per ounce for something that actually tastes like olive oil. The robust variety specifically opens with a full, fruity character and carries a peppery finish that's more pronounced than Filippo Berio or Bertolli. Tasters consistently describe it as the most assertive of the widely available budget options, the kind of oil that can hold its own in a vinaigrette or drizzled over a finished dish, not just used as a cooking fat. It's also first cold pressed, which means the oil was extracted without heat, a process that preserves more of the natural flavor compounds and polyphenols than refining methods do. The bottle doesn't carry a harvest date, which remains a legitimate criticism and a reason to keep your expectations calibrated. But for 32 ounces at under $12, with recent third-party testing behind it and a flavor profile that actually delivers, Pompeian Robust earns the number 2 spot. Number 1, though, is a different conversation entirely, and it starts with a bottle that costs less than $10 and has the harvest date right on the label. Number 1, Trader Joe's California Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Number 1, Trader Joe's California Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil. Here's the thing about Trader Joe's olive oil. It doesn't look like a winner. The bottle is simple, the label is understated, and there's no Italian hillside painting or elaborate heritage story on the back. It just sits there on the shelf looking perfectly ordinary, usually priced somewhere between $8 and $10 depending on your location, and the people who know about it keep buying it quietly while everyone else reaches past it for the bigger names. Trader Joe's California Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil is cold pressed from California-grown olives, and it carries a harvest date on the label. Those people are right. Trader Joe's California Estate Extra Virgin Olive Oil is cold pressed from California-grown olives, and it carries a harvest date on the label. That alone puts it ahead of nearly everything else in this price range. You already know what the harvest date means. It means the producer is confident enough in their freshness to let you verify it yourself. That's not a small thing. That's a brand making a commitment in ink that most of its competitors won't make. The oil itself is genuinely impressive for what you're paying. The color is a bright, clean golden green, vibrant and clear, not pale or murky. The aroma opens with grassy, fresh notes that actually smell like olives rather than a neutral cooking fat. On the palate, it's full-bodied without being heavy, with a lovely balance between ripe fruitiness and a real peppery finish that lands firmly at the back of your throat. That throat kick, the one that makes you clear your throat just slightly, is exactly what you're looking for. It signals that the polyphenols are present and the oil is fresh enough to still be doing its job. Blind taste testers at Tasting Table ranked Trader Joe's number 1 across a field of store-brand and budget-priced extra virgin olive oils, with notes of ripe banana, artichoke, and black pepper. Tasters described it as full-bodied, vibrant, and complex, words that almost never show up in reviews of oils at this price point. One tester said they could drizzle it on anything and call it a meal. Another specifically called out its ability to walk the line between assertive and harsh, which is genuinely difficult for any olive oil to pull off, let alone one under $10. The California sourcing matters here too, and not just for freshness. California olive oil producers operate under stricter quality standards than most imported oils. The California Olive Oil Council, the COOC, requires its certified oils to pass both chemical and sensory testing that exceeds USDA standards. And in the UC Davis study that exposed fraud across 69% of imported olive oils, only 10% of California oils failed to meet extra virgin standards. The geography alone dramatically improves your odds of getting what the label promises. This is the oil I keep on my counter. Not in a cabinet somewhere, on the counter because I use it that often, and I go through a bottle fast enough that light exposure isn't a meaningful concern. It goes on everything: roasted vegetables, pasta, a piece of crusty bread with a pinch of flaky salt. If you've been spending more than this on a bottle that doesn't have a harvest date and doesn't taste like much, you've been paying a premium for marketing. Before you go, take this with you because it works on every bottle of olive oil you'll ever pick up, regardless of price. Flip the bottle over and look for a harvest date, not a best by date, a harvest date. It will say something like, harvested, fall 2025, or give you a specific month and year. If you find one, count forward from that date. Anything within 12 to 18 months of harvest is in its prime. Anything older than that, the flavor and the health benefits have already started walking out the door. If the bottle has no harvest date at all, just a best by date 2 years out, put it back. A good oil wants you to know how fresh it is. An oil with something to hide keeps it off the label. That one habit, applied every single time you shop, is worth more than any ranking list. So, what have you been grabbing off that shelf? Drop it in the comments. And if Trader Joe's #1 spot surprised you, I want to know that too, because honestly, the first time I tasted it against a $12 import I'd been buying for years, I stood in my kitchen feeling genuinely annoyed at myself for waiting so long. Now go look at the bottle in your cabinet. You might be surprised by what you find or what you don't.